Welcome to Programming with Professor Califf. Today I want to show you some nested for loops. So loops and ifs are just statements in Java. We've seen that we can put ifs inside of other ifs. We can also put ifs inside of loops, and we've looked at that a little bit. We also can put loops inside of loops, or ifs. So today I'd like to show you what that ends up looking like. So let's pop over to Eclipse. So I've set up a class here called Nested Loops, and we're going to write a couple of simple nested for loops to see what's going on when we actually are putting loops inside of each other. So I'm going to make a very simple for loop here where I'm going to call my counter row num, and we'll start that at 1, and let's make it go to 5. Keep it fairly small. And then of course we'll be incrementing row num, so row num plus plus. And then inside of this, I'm going to have a for loop that uses call num, and we're going to run that one also from 1 to 5. So call num plus plus. What I'm going to do is I'm going to print row num and follow that with a space, a colon, and then a space. And then I'm going to print out call num in its loop, and follow that with a space. And then at the very end, after the inside loop, which we often call an inner loop, I'm going to do a print line to get us to the next line. Print row num helps if I actually capitalize things properly. Now that that's happy, let's try running it. And I did not write that the way I intended to. I wanted less than or equal to, but we can see what happened even with just the less than. So what's happening here where we've printed, pull that up a little bit to make it more easy to read. We have the column number and then each of the row numbers because we went through the whole inner loop. Then we came back to the second time through the outer loop and did that. So let's actually go into the debugger and watch what's happening step by step. After setting a breakpoint. So right now we're not in any loops and we have not set up any variables. So we step into the outer loop and our row num is now 1. Now we print the row num, print the colon space, and then we actually now have call num at 1. So we print the column number and its space. Then we come back up to the inner loop. We then are going to add 1 to the column number. That's still less than or equal to 5. So we print it, print the space. Now add another 1. That's still less than or equal to 5. Print that. Again, we print the 4. We print the 5. Now this time, column number is going to become 6. So we drop down and we go to the next line. Then we're back up here. Row num is currently 1. So we add 1 to it. It's still less than or equal to 5. And we walk through. So that's what's happening with our loops, and we can see I've deliberately called this column number because we're printing column by column, and this row number because we end up printing row by row. And we tend to think of our loops as working that way. Let's go ahead and make that run on out. So that's all there is to a nested for loop. I encourage you to write this and then start playing with it some. See what happens if inside here you're just printing the row number instead. So if we run that, we see all 5 1s, all 5 2s, all 5 3s, all 5 4s, all 5 5s. Play with it. See what happens. Try counting down. Make sure that you have a good understanding of what's happening with the inner loop and the outer loop. Thanks for watching. I hope you've been having fun with our control structures. In the next video, we're going to start looking at how to write our own classes.